Hey, howdy, hey. Gonna be doing an update to this project. Adding a new character in. And it's gonna be one of the ones I probably enjoy the most. Mostly because it's going to add in some good lore opportunity. And as I understand, there's not a whole lot of lore to go off of, so it means I get to come up with it. Anyway, going to dive on in. Right now I'm trying to find some reference material to work with. Also listening for some audio clarity here. Okay, that's good. So it's supposed to be a protocol droid, but it's supposed to be the one with bugged out eyes. An RA7, I believe. Of which this thing is hideous. But there's potential to kind of soften some of the features. You know, I better verify that this is indeed the type of droid. The process of doing research for stuff can sometimes be a moment, and sometimes it can take a while. There's some projects I've worked on where it takes me about an hour to get all the stuff I need. Thankfully, this is not one of those times, because the references are just one. there's a lot of potential still with the Star Wars world. And I don't think that a lot of people even take advantage of it in the way I would have expected. It's interesting to see people doing live streams of these things, which is what this is. It's a live stream of the adventure they're having. And it is more lore accurate than what Disney has done, and that's one of the things a lot of people will try and focus on. But even so, it still fails in some other areas, and that's the part that I'm very much a hardliner when it comes to some of the lore aspects. Like Mandalorians don't exist, not in the way that they do in the TV show. And so by having that sort of strong opinion, I know that I immediately alienate a lot of people in the fandom. Okay, that was not the reference. Sure seemed like it, though. Here we go. Oh. Yeah, slightly different. Let me grab this reference, enlarge it. So it is correct. It's just a slightly better look for it. So grab that right there, save that reference, and we're off to the races. You know, there's been a lot of changes kind of taking place. Oh, just a second. Here we go. Finally working. There we go. Close that out. There's a lot of I've been noticing a trend on this in the streaming world as of late. It's only been really for the last year, but I had heard about it a couple years prior. And it has to do with the collapse of the industry. See, early on, I got to, before I even started streaming, I heard from people in the industry that things are not going well, in that, well, things weren't going well, and now they're really not going well. And one of them was a mention that the world of bots was starting to plague the industry. Greetings, Inertia. How are you doing tonight? And so thus, people have become desperate to want to keep the industry afloat. It's kind of like a bubble, but not a true bubble. It shares a lot of the similarities, though. It was an industry that people thought they could get rich quick, but they never quite got rich quick, and except for a very, very small number of people. And now the industry is collapsing, but there wasn't money being made anyway, so it's not a true bubble, except for the platforms. And I'm guessing, but I think a lot of the platforms are probably going to start to... They're they're either going to become super expensive to want to be on the platforms, or they're just going to shut down. I remember hearing about that. It is... I think the numbers are way worse than anyone realizes. I'm not worried, but then again, I'm not making money from this, and really don't have any intention to do that. That would kind of ruin a lot of the ideas that I have if I tried to make streaming my income. Guess I was also affected. Just got a layoff notice yesterday among other employees. My department was slashed off. Ugh. That is most unfortunate to hear. Hopefully you find something that will be a better fit for you. Keep us posted. There are a lot of people being hit these days. Now, I'm somebody who has been a pretty big fan of a lot of the changes happening in the country as of late. But I will say there's something that I have not been liking, and that is the downward fall that we have in our economy. It's not getting better, and it is getting worse and worse by the day. Which is a shame, because there's a lot of people that actually thought that there were ways to kind of like put on the brakes. And you can't really put on the brakes when things are when things are this inflated. Only thing you can do is just keep building and hope that you can endure before you hit rock bottom. A lot of companies are not even preparing for that. My job was in jeopardy as of late. I thankfully was not affected, but it got very close, and for many months we were having to worry about that. May the robot overlords have mercy on us. Oh no. Kudos to you, Serious MX. It was fun while it lasted. Indeed. Indeed. Do you have any new prospects? I know it's pretty early to try and figure that out, but do you have any place to start hunting for new work? I was let go from my streaming job. Well, not my streaming job, but my work for streamers. And stand by just a second. There we go. The way the springs are set up, it slowly works its way up after a few days. I have two jobs. My former job was a specialist for Sirius MX. The other is freelance copywriting. So I'm not in the red. That is good. A whole lot of people are in the red right now. Here in the US, a lot of people like to think that we're in very good financial position. We are not. We are, if there was a nation that was a bubble, the US is pretty darn close to being the definition of what that would be. We have so many people investing into our future, and a whole lot of people that are sadly robbing our nation blind so that they can be able to become rich titans of the future. So even though I'm in a place where everyone is said to live like kings, I know a lot of people that are just barely in the position of living in a cardboard box. Some people who have lived in cardboard boxes. It's tough times, and a lot of people are delusional at this point, and they don't see the fallout that is happening to others, and thus it's important for those of us who have seen, who have felt it, to be able to pay attention and to offer assistance whenever we're able. Things will balance out, although it may be a while. History has shown us that things do balance out eventually. But that's what makes this current turn in the economy so sinister feeling. I feel like everyone knows that things are going bad. And rather than say, hey, let's put on the brakes, instead they're like, full speed ahead, pedal to the metal, let's get all we can before everything collapses. It's like, buddy, you destroy everyone if you do that. Yeah, well, I'm not everyone. You can't expect me to go down with a ship. Well, somebody of honor, a captain, would stay with the crew until everyone else is off on the life raft, and then they go down with their ship all the same, trying to save it. We need more people like that. More people to say, hey, you know what? I don't care what other people are doing. I'm going to help save this place as best as possible. Right now, I'm just suspended since the layoff process is still pushing through. They're still keeping my department around just in case they made an oopsie. But from what I know so far, the bot has used our performance as reference to continue that department's operation. Basically, we have become obsolete. So in any case, they have 30 to 60 days to move me to another department or give me severance. During those time periods, they're practically paying me to do nothing. Well, at least you have that. It's not ideal, but at least it's something. I was going to be given 4 weeks pay to find new work. This was a while back. And my employer decided that after the first payment, he thought, I don't like doing this. And so he skipped on the other payments. Which is a reminder that a lot of companies, they may have an ethics behind them, but unless you have an HR department, a lot of them will try and get away with whatever they can. And that's when I really came to value an HR department. Now, the HR department didn't exist for him, so it's not like I was going to be able to get the money back anyway. But it was a reminder to me that there's a reason why that department exists at other organizations. Even if they can get troublesome at times, they do have a function. And when they abandon that function, that's when problems start to ensue. Taken out by a bot. A lot of companies are going to pay a hefty price for that sort of decision. Real shame. Known, I think it's about probably 5 people this last year who have lost their jobs to, in particular, to AI. Others that I know have lost it just to companies trying to downsize. Man, it's frustrating times. I wonder when the end will come in sight. Or if it will come in sight for any amount of time. I expect probably, well, I heard a report earlier today that said that upwards of 20 to 25 to 50% of the nation could go bankrupt, basically, because our debt is per person is so freaking high, and everyone's trying to pay off for their houses. This really is a nightmare scenario, and everyone's trying to hold their breath like, nope, if we just don't acknowledge that it exists, then we'll all be fine. You can't deny the obvious. Somebody somewhere is going to say, nope, pay me for this, pay me for that, and then the whole thing comes toppling down, which I would argue already has begun. Question is, how far will this madness go before the brakes are finally applied? If birth rates drop, we're screwed. Yep, they are dropping. They are dropping severely. You know, when I was in college, I noticed that nobody was really allowed to date without people blowing a gasket about it. Now, some people did, and but compared to what was expected, it was a fraction. It was so small. And of those people, only a few of them have actually had families. Which is a real shame. Because, yeah, I think that the birth rate has been collapsing hard and fast. But the question is it going to balance out at all? Well, some of us are not contributing. Not from a lack of trying or whatnot. It's more like our culture has changed so much. I think that we're going to look back on this time and we're going to see 1,000 different factors that went into the economic and cultural collapse that we're seeing right now. It's strange. People who are under the age of 40 all know what's happening. It's people that are at the top that don't know. How embarrassing is that? The people that should know, the people that should be, because they're all holding on to power, they should know that there's something amiss. And they're not paying attention. Even when people come up and say point blank, this is a problem, we need to address it, it's always, no, you guys are just crazy for thinking that stuff. You got to stop listening to all those podcasts or things like that. What can you do? And if people don't understand and don't have an interest in understanding, you can't persuade them otherwise. The only way that they can know is when things fall apart. The one benefit I see in all of this is that the next generation is going to be very much, will have a very good chance of recovery. I won't say it's going to be instantaneous, but man, it is. They're going to look back on this time and say, they're going to look back on this time like we looked back on the Depression growing up and say, oh, good thing we didn't live in the Depression. Oh, it just sounds terrible. We're going to look back on this time and say the exact same thing. And people are going to say, what? You lived through that? You survived? Yeah. Crazy to think about that. All the complaints of the past few generations are going to seem like peanuts by comparison. You guys don't know how tough it was to live with a threat of nuclear war. Well, we're living in the threat of nuclear war. You don't know what it's like to go through financial hardship. Well, we're going through financial hardship. You don't know what it's like to be unemployed and begging for food. Well, a whole lot of us ended up in that sort of position. So yes, we know. And it's all happening at once. It's not happening over a span of 20, 30 years. It's happening in a decade. And it's just going down, down, down. But here's the thing. It's not hopeless. It may feel like that, but it is not hopeless. It's weird. Back then, my parents hated the idea of me dating someone. Then at their 40s, they're practically begging for me to actually go ahead and marry someone because they want grandkids. Yeah, isn't that ironic how that happens? Oh, you shouldn't focus on getting married. You'd be an evil man for wanting to rob a woman of her career. And now they're like, what have you done, you kids? You shouldn't have listened to us. No, they don't even realize that they're the ones that said it. And even people that I care about, they blindly said that sort of stuff. Some of them said harsh things. And they're like, some of them are coming around, but a lot of them are not. And they're like, you guys are just trying to ruin us. And why? Well, we're not trying to ruin the older generation. Our social security is going to disappear. You guys are terrible, evil people for wanting to do this to us. We're not trying to do this to you. You robbed from the future. We're trying to build something and we don't have the pieces. How many of us are entrepreneurs? Oh, you guys are just lazy. No, we're literally like sued out of existence. I've heard about it. I've seen it. I've seen people, they get business ideas, they go out there and they're sued, or they're bought out immediately and the product is destroyed. But here's the thing. It's not hopeless. But it's definitely going to be, I dare say, hopeless for the older generation. And that part does sting. The economy is so bad that I won't even consider bringing another human being into this chaos. It's like escaping a burning building and wanting to hold a baby in the other hand. True, but also at the same time, you have to remember, right now, we're in a generation that is being replaced. The one thing we can do to change it all, and this is part of why it's not hopeless, being able to reset things is our benefit. I do not think we're going to live to old ages. I don't. It just, everything I've seen tells me that we are going to have moderate lives. We're not going to be wealthy. We're not going to be powerful. We're going to be skirting by for a while. But here's the thing. People in olden days skirted by too, just fine. It's about trying to make sure that your family stays sensible and sane during the madness. And while we have youth is the best time to have kids. I'm one to speak, but because I haven't been contributing, but then again, the options have been slim to none. But the thing is that if we think that the older generation right now is going to have a problem, we are all in serious trouble if we don't course correct on this. Even if everyone just had one kid, while that would help out a little bit, there really has to be two. It has to be two per family, minimum. Now I know some people, they're up to 4 or 5 kids. Those people are contributing a lot better. They had much better options. And here's the thing. They're financially not in a great spot, but give it a few years and it will be, they are going to be rich beyond compare. Most people would give up everything just to go back and be able to have that opportunity for family. We got to stop lying to our women. That's where this all started going south, in my opinion. And I know that's that gets controversial fast, but it is true. The moment we started down the path of feminism was when everything started falling apart. And now we have a lot of very bitter people, both men and women. And we're not really able to course correct until we can fix this problem. We have a very simple solution to these things. To be able to embrace community, to embrace family. By doing that, we will start to reestablish what the older generation squandered and threw away. We're starting from ground zero, which, yeah, that's frustrating. Yeah, it's not ideal. But it's better than what a lot of other people are going to have. A lot of other people are going to be in very much a tough bind. Poor South Korea, for example, is going to lose their culture. They're going to be swallowed up by another country because their families are gone. Japan risks doing the same thing. China's losing their population too, but they are going to hold on much higher than other countries, and they're going to be able to just gobble it all up. A nation that is going to take over, I dare say, is going to be India. India, the Philippines, their people are have been proliferating everywhere. Golly, we have a ton of Filipino people over here in the U.S. There's a ton of them all across the globe. They're going to be a culture that is... They're a culture that has found its place in this world. India will be the same. Now, India's got a lot more problems, I dare say, but they still have that potential. But even so, they got a lot of issues that they're going to have to overcome as a culture before they can really start to take that mantle. So in the meantime, every nation needs to be wary. And if you don't want to lose your culture, whatever it is, you have to be able to embrace the culture that you can salvage. And I think that's the story of our generation. We're the ones who have to salvage things. We have to fix what the past generation squandered and threw away. And in doing so, we will probably find that rebuilding isn't as bad as it seems. It can actually be a little fun. It's easy when you don't have anything to have to live up to. The only thing you have to live up to is just saying that I picked up the hammer when someone else threw it away. Don't get me started on feminism. I'm not sure about it. They seem jealous of things that are non-existent. They're like picturing it as men have everything have everything sorted out and how great our lives are. Then we're like, surprise, surprise, we just suffer in silence. Yep. Filipino working for U.S. from home. Yep. You know, that's why we have to, we have to be able to fix our families. If we can fix our families, we got a future. If we can't. And that's a shame because I feel like a lot of things in the U.S. are going to fall apart. It's already starting. It's already starting. You know, there was a woman that I got to meet a while back, and she became enamored with wanting to be accepted by everyone. She traveled overseas, and before she left, I had not known for 3 years that I had known her. I had not known that she had actually been wanting me to ask her out. I had no idea. Why? She never came out anywhere. She stayed behind closed doors for years. I knew she existed. I came across her on a regular basis, but whenever there was a chance to get the opportunity to even just chat with her, it never happened because she was never there. Well, when she was getting ready to travel overseas, I came across her in the middle of the night. We were on our way back from classes, and I was just getting out of the student building, and there she is with her bags, getting ready to get into her car and drive away. And for a brief moment, is a very brief moment, she started to break down into tears. And that's when I suddenly realized, after a couple of words of hers, that, dang, if only I had known. But here's the thing. She chose to go on that trip. She was gone for 9 months. When she got back, she hated the world. She hated everybody. She became a bitter person. She is living on her own still. She is not aged well, and I dare say as to a lot of her bitterness. She cut off everybody. But that's kind of the story of our generation. Not just for women, that's for guys as well. There's so many people that, despite knowing that they were about ready to make a decision that they were going to regret, still went through with it. And it broke them. Feel like you've dodged a bullet? Yes, in some ways. But no in others. See, the reason why I have pity is that I realize that is a very easy slope for someone to go over to feel like everything has fallen apart and to become bitter. Now, granted, you don't want somebody that has that sort of mentality. But what if you were to find out that you actually had the ability to prevent someone from going down that path? Now, I know culturally there's a lot of people that say, no, that's a huge warning sign. And I don't disagree. I do not disagree with that. But here's the thing. I have had tough times in my life as well. And sometimes you can overcome it. Sometimes you can't. A lot of our women were told by their parents, by their teachers, you can rough it, you can take it on, you go, queen, you slay. And in doing so, they pushed women that were not ready for that sort of stuff and pushed them out the door. And they left, they came back, and they were broken. I have no idea what she experienced overseas, but whatever it was enough to ruin her. And so, yeah, you can dodge a bullet. But That bullet ended up being fatal to her personality, to her future. I wonder if she could have been spared that. That I don't know. Understand, then again, I also understand I'm just one person. Yeah, it's, I hope that we're able to save what we can of the different cultures that we're in. But I do realize the likelihood of us being successful is very, very slim. France, for example. France is in serious trouble. Germany is also in trouble. I don't know if those places can be saved in the same way. Britain's in serious trouble as well. The US is in trouble, but we don't realize it. We love to look at the rest of the world and say, oh, the rest of the world's got problems. And we're looking around and we don't realize the blind side we have. We have the same problems. But the difference is that we're not trying to fix them. We're not trying to fix our problems in the same way. Makes me wonder if we were to just merely I'll go a little bit brighter here. A little bit brighter. There we go. If we were just merely to acknowledge the problem, I would dare say about I'd say about 30 to 50% of our culture can be salvaged. I really do think that. Greetings, North Carolina native. India never had a one-child policy. I think Indonesia, Nigeria. The worst thing about Indian food is when it becomes out-end food. Oh my. Greetings, North Carolina native. I'm gonna move that chat area over here because I was a little far away from you to see there. Right now in my state, we got a couple of problems, and one of them is that there is a lot of resentment. And what's more, there's also a lot of people who are cast aside and broken. I know a guy who is living on his own out in the wilderness. Why? Because he can't afford a place in his hometown, and he never found anyone to date. No girl showed him interest, and so thus he became discouraged, and he is now on his own, kind of living a little bit of a bitter life. I mean, some people look at him and they're probably like, oh, look, you're living a bachelor life out in the middle of the woods. That must be great. Not if you ask him. He understands some of the problems, but he doesn't know how to fix it. Mostly because they're things that he can't fix. Now, most things we can fix ourselves. If you have issues, you can fix them yourself. You have the ability to rise above. But what happens when something you're trying to fix requires you to rely on someone else? Relationships being one of them. You can't have a relationship with yourself. That does not go well, and usually makes people very isolated and bitter. And I've definitely seen that happening with some of my acquaintances from the past. They throw another, oh my goodness. That is indeed, that's goofy there, North Carolina native. I did see that on social media. That's indeed quite quite odd. Been helping someone get through a depression and financial hardship. Learned through a third party that they're mocking me behind my back for being gullible. It broke me enough that it made me think twice about helping people. And that is understandable. Man, that's another problem. It's like our nation's soul, really the world's soul, is in jeopardy. Everyone's so bitter and wanting to take advantage of people. That's just so messed up. I've helped some youth as well, and some guys that were in need, and that did not go so well. Some of them, it worked out. Most of them, it just was like they didn't even hear a word. The world wants us to become cruel and heartless. It wants us to join them in their bitterness, in their ways. Being able to resist that is crucial. Good luck trying to do it on your own, though. That's why we need other people. Either friends, family, even community. There's some people in this world, they hate everybody and everything. But if something happens to somebody from their town, they get very defensive. There's some people that doesn't happen, but there's a lot of people that do not want people in their community to suffer. Sure, they want to go around and harass folks themselves, but they don't want to see their own community suffer at the hands of someone else. Can't fix a car, rely on a mechanic. We all got strengths. If we're quick to tear each other down, we may not realize that we've burned a bridge that we desperately need in the future. You know, there's so many things that just aggravate me about what's happening in our culture. And it aggravates me not because I am, it aggravates me because I see the pain that's taking place in our culture. And I'm not seeing enough people of consequence trying to fix it. And the people that do go out and they're like, oh, I'm going to help, I'm going to make a difference. Yeah. And then I find out later on that their version of helping is to exploit. I'm like, well, so much for you being somebody trying to help, somebody trying to care. I'm the opposite. Used to go out of my way to help people, encourage people who don't even care enough to get themselves out of a problem, but they would repeatedly be asking for help. It's hard to explain. Yeah, I know what you're talking about. Definitely know that. North Carolina native says, I left room in my wall for my local church to buy a large piano pipes because I wanted to be an organ donor. Speaking of which, there was a time where I volunteered to help out with a 24-hour 24/7 prayer event, and I went in at the only slot that really was available, and that was 1:30 in the morning. I showed up in there, and it was in this church where they had all sorts of decorations. They had a CD player in there, and it's like, oh, look, isn't this cute and wonderful? And I wasn't really all that interested in it. I thought it was kind of tacky to some of the decorations they had. It felt childish. But as I was in there, someone outside was playing on the organ. Now, the place I was at had one of the larger organs in the region, and it was fantastic. Whoever was playing that was a master. And I went out to try and figure out who it was afterwards and couldn't figure it out. It was a student who was in there to practice, and never figured that part out. But it was absolutely beautiful. I miss organs. Nowadays, all churches seem to have, or at least most, all Presbyterian churches seem to have only guitars and pianos. Dagnabbit. The modernization of the church is going to be studied as one of the biggest mistakes of our generation. I heard from a pastor who said that the amount of effort we've put into all these super fancy mega churches have not panned out, and he was mentioning about just what an absolute waste it was. And I was like, well, it didn't take a genius to be able to tell you that. Why did all the churches do it? They wanted to be cool, they wanted to be hip, they wanted to be trendy. So much for that. So much for that. I'm not brave enough to donate my organs, but I do donate my blood. AB blood type is rare, so there's high odds somebody would actually need it. Oh, do not ever actually donate organs. Do not. Man, after the report came out, I knew about this for a while. But after the report came out that a lot of organ donors are actually butchered on the table just because they got a rich person who wants organs. That's serious stuff. And I dare say there's going to be a lot of people that should be in prison. I do think a lot of people will end up in prison after some of that stuff came out. But it's going to take our culture a little while to reel from that. Organ trade. What a horrible, evil industry. It's cannibalism. You want to live, so you're going to butcher someone else to be able to put that in you. So you're going to kill somebody so you can live. That's the majority of organ harvesting, by the way. I ain't saying that. Yep. If a Presbyterian church has a big enough gym, is it called a bench Presbyterian church? Ugh. China does it more bluntly with their instruments. Yep. What they've been doing to the Uyghurs is horrible. But you know what's also really odd is that the Islamic countries that it affects the most are not speaking out against it. Tell you what, it just makes me all the more convinced we're in an age of madness with what's been going on medically, scientifically, culturally. Man, it's frustrating. Only way we can save this is by embracing family, embracing our neighborhood, embracing our community. They're the only people that we're going to be able to actually impact in this world. I used to think that we could be able to impact people through just a vote. And then I learned over the last decade and a half, that doesn't happen. You can't rely upon someone else to come in and save the day. You have to be able to do it yourself in your own community. Sure, your community might not appreciate it. It may not transform it, but you know what? You gotta try. What the? Oh, I accidentally added a mirror out there. Phooey. How do I clear that? Oh, shit. Okay, you know, I'm not going to bother with that. We're just going to go to another layer. Because honestly, this is close enough here. If there's a sliver of chance I get to live a few more years or days in this realm of existence, I'm taking. Yeah. Being able to... It's really sad that a lot of our elites want to take that sliver's chance, but they want to take it from someone else. There's a great film out there called The Island. It's not very well done, but man, is it sobering. And I dare say our culture needs to become aware of just how evil a lot of our elites are. And I don't say that lightly. The more I learn about our elites, they are pure evil. There are a few that are exceptions. But man, those exceptions are few and far between. I grew up with a good foundation of the values that one should have in this country, about the values that someone of the faith should have. And then I grew up and I realized that nobody else in our elite circles abided by those rules. I kept thinking, why? It didn't occur to me that they were obsessed with power, and that anything that questioned that power should be should be destroyed. And it's like, wow, that's those people are sick. Those people are so sick. I do believe that our elites are going to be incredibly severely judged. Well, I'm heading to bed, says North Carolina native. Catch you later, Jeff. Same to you, sir. Thanks for the jokes. Rest well, and we'll see you next time, whenever that is. Yeah, inertia. There's truth in that. There's truth in that. One of these days, things are finally going to start turning around. But man, it sure would be nice if it would start already. You know, I know that this is not something a lot of Americans really want to hear, but Trump is constantly talking about that we're entering a golden age, and he's very hopeful. And honestly, there's something to be said for wanting to encourage people like that. But you know, just by saying something doesn't mean it's going to happen. You have to be able to actually prove that it can happen. You have to be able to take a stand. And a golden age cannot happen if your people are wicked and your minds are dark. If our elites continue to rule, we never have a chance. Our elites have to be removed. I do not want to see a French-style revolution. But that's probably going to end up happening if we don't course correct. Bitterness that's growing. That's one of the reasons why AI troubles me. It's like they're hoping that the AI will give them the perfect tool of manipulation and control to stem the tide. It's like, folks, couldn't you have just been ethical? I mean, we're one of the most understanding and caring generations that have ever existed in history. And yet you're spitting in the face of the kindest people that this planet has probably ever seen. It's ridiculous. Like, how stupid can they be? Trying to cover up everything? Yeah. Google has a motto of don't be evil. Also, Google becomes evil. Hey, they deleted it. So thus, they're technically legally doing it. Idiots. Imagine being so rich, like all these elites. You have more wealth than nations have in their coffers. You look at yourself in the mirror and think, self, I've done pretty good for myself. I'm going to build up even more. I'm going to rob even more. I'm going to squeeze every last damn penny out of people. And then Trump gets rid of the penny production, and you're saying, I'm going to squeeze every last nickel out of everybody. And then that person is hit by a truck or something else that causes them to suddenly have a very unexpected end. And they end up in front of the pearly gates. And they're asked, what good did you do on Earth? You were sent there to be a leader, to be, you were empowered to be someone of influence, and you used it for yourself? You didn't think that maybe you were given that for a reason? And the rich man looks back and is like, oh, what was I supposed to do with all that money? Give it to somebody else? Not realizing that it wasn't just the fact that they hoarded it and didn't give it to someone else, is that they saw suffering. And in that moment, they decided that they needed more. They didn't care about others. Life is not a game where you're trying to get the highest score and beat the most people. If that was the case, then heaven help us, we are doomed. If that is really the case, then there's nothing to stop somebody from going out and just wreaking havoc on everybody. If it really is about that, then what's to keep the common man from destroying the palaces that these people have been building? Ethics, ladies and gentlemen. Ethics are what are supposed to stay our hand to keep us from doing evil. Why do the elites not see that? How can they be so dense? How can they be so incapable of comprehending the bitterness that they're growing in this culture? Britain's about to explode. It is on the brink of civil war, and I'm not saying that lightly. Our country will probably be in that sort of position one day. Probably sooner rather than not, if we do not course correct. We need justice, we need kindness, we need ethics to return to everything. Let's see here. If I'd become absurdly rich, I'd live the same way. But there'll be signs. Lives the same way as I do now. A lot of brilliant people are kept in check because society is still compensating for their basic needs. If that stops, oh boy. I feel sorry for a lot of the people that are trying to come to the US right now. They have no idea the anger that's building. Now, I'm in a place where it's relatively non-problematic. There's some areas in Canada that I know of that are probably going to have some pretty bad acts taking place in the future. There's some communities where they are on the brink. And honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if they're the first ones to kind of struggle with a lot of the coming madness. Okay, just a second. All right. Time to change that tune. Let's go to something a little bit more thought-provoking and whatnot. There we go. So Canada, from what I've seen, there's some troubling signs that they're on the brink. Britain's on the brink. The US is not far behind. Honestly, despite the problems that are coming about under Trump, there's a lot of it that has been stayed. Everything's got a pro and con. One thing is that Trump has calmed down a lot of people's anger. But at the same time, he's only redirected it. We as a culture are in for a very difficult time. But we don't need it to be. And that's again where the hope factor comes in. Our elites want us to break. They want there to be conflict. They want us to basically remove ourselves from the equation. There's no other way to say it. They want us to disappear. They want the machines to take over. Well, if the machines fail, well then they're screwed. Imagine if all those data centers did just disappear. Imagine what would happen if the AI doesn't turn out to be as effective as they thought. By the way, that already looks like it's happening. There's a lot of companies that were gleefully firing people left and right. And some of them have started to back off because they realize they've made a serious mistake. Problem is that they've alienated people now. The elites do not deserve to hold on to the power. But you don't take it from them. They've been chosen for this. I hate to say that, but they really have been. Either for better or for worse. You can't take it from them. And if you do, it will end up becoming rust in your hands. But you can do the one thing that they fear. Becoming better. Becoming more ethical. To embrace your community when they want you to embrace products. Embracing a product is never going to suffice. This is one of the reasons why I'm so upset at the efforts of especially conservative people, which I am technically a conservative, but there's a lot of conservative people who are pushing hard for this AI relationships. That's disgusting on so many levels. I'm not saying that the draw is the thing that is the disgusting part. The disgusting part is that they're trying to reject their own families and communities. That's what's infuriating to me. They're like, hey, you guys don't want us. We're just going to check out. And look, we're going to do this. We're going to find an AI to replace natural sort of needs. That's not going to make anybody happy. And what's more, it's going to be very dark. It's going to make us enslaved even more to the elites. So you're not escaping one master. You're not escaping the slavery. You're just escaping one master for another. Man, people are stupid. Incredibly stupid. And some of them are like big names too. And it's like, you folks really need to wake up. just because you can think in unique ways and you have opinions online or on your radio shows or whatnot, doesn't mean that you understand the fallout of this stuff. It is going to be bad. It's going to be horrible. And I don't think any of us truly understand how detrimental it's going to be. The one thing people are brilliant at in history is how to cause the maximum amount of pain to a fellow human being with less effort. This is the byproduct of Darwinism, I believe. You're not wrong. You're not wrong there. I don't understand AI relationships. It's weird, and it isolates people. Yeah. Which makes it all the more troubling when people actually go along with it. It's like, look, you can have people that get confused. I'm not discounting that. I've known some people that get very confused with that sort of stuff. And they're like, well, I don't see anything wrong with it. It's like, well, you've not thought enough about it. Think about it. Think about the damage that it's doing. But they won't. Tell you what, we have, we're going to have a heck of a time trying to course correct. Now, I like a challenge, but it doesn't mean I'm going to be too happy about this struggle, because I don't have any authority. I don't have any power. If I want to go out and try and fix things in the culture, I can't. I tried. And I was cut off at the knees. And I thought, you know what? In order to get back up, I would have to do something very dark in order to make that happen. And I thought, nope. If I do that, then I'm just proceeding to make the problem worse. I'm just making sure it goes on for another generation. We need to reject the evilness in our culture. In the scene, we're going to have it to where the Jawas are selling him. Like, oh, look, here's a destroyed droid. This is how his origin story is going to end up starting. I did an experiment one time with an AI. I was at my wit's end when I lost my best friend. I tried playing necromancy with AI and fed up my friend's chat logs. I succeeded in a way. Then I felt miserable. Before I realized I'm talking to an echo of somebody who's already gone. You know? You understand what very, very, very few people don't. You know, the very first chatbot, relationship chatbot that was created was by a woman who lost her husband. In her grief, she turned to AI to resurrect her husband. She fed the machine all the chat, and she made it into a business. She then started selling romantic partners. She is now one of the richest women in the world. It is dark, and honestly, it's materialistic. We are here on this earth for a very, very short time. We are told to focus on things that are heavenly, to focus on things that matter, that are eternal. And AI is never going to be able to bring back that which is lost. The fact that you recognize that is commendable. I'm very sorry that you had to deal with that loss. We all will deal with losses in one way, shape, or form. But it doesn't make it any easier to have to go through. Never before have we had so many people that are desperate for AI to work than we do, and to do the unthinkable than what we have now. There's always been people that have been trying to bring back loved ones. There's been a lot of people with the attempts to try and use any sort of sorcery or trying to find somebody else that looks similar, or all sorts of different methods to try and bring somebody back. It never, ever, ever works. But I think that's part of the devil's plan. He wants us so dedicated to trying to hold on to an old memory that he wants to rob us from being able to move on and find new things. We are here to make a difference, to minister to the oppressed, and to help guide the lost.